This is the Soul-Filled Sisterhood podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a soul-led leadership coach to women in midlife who are wanting more meaning in the second half. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute, nor is it to convey professional, psychological, financial, or medical advice. If you could use such services, please seek them out from someone you trust. Now here is today's episode. Episode 137. Do you have a loud inner critic? You know, that voice inside your head that is nonstop and beats you up because you mess up or things aren't perfect or tells you not to assert yourself and ask for what you need? You're not alone. There are many women in midlife who struggle with this. But if you head over to today's show notes, you can download your own guide in turning your inner critic into your inner guide in 4 steps. Now here is today's episode. Well, welcome, sisters. Oh my goodness, I am excited about this next coming conversation because this is a topic that I don't think can be talked about enough for women. And so I'm excited to have Lucinda Testo, who is a certified Clini-Coach. Lucinda is the divorced mom life coach, and she helps moms define their new identity and reclaim their awesomeness after divorce. Lucinda transitioned to life coaching after more than 17 years in the mental health field as a licensed psychotherapist. Not only has Lucinda worked with divorced moms in her psychotherapy private practice, but she has been divorced herself. She has realized that it is her passion and calling to help divorced moms move on after divorce so that they can create kick-ass lives. Well, welcome, Lucinda. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm so happy to be here.
This is such an important conversation to have and a topic that I don't think can be discussed enough because there's so many things that come up around divorce. So before we dive into all the questions I have for you, tell me just a little bit more, tell our listeners, what really got you into this specific kind of work?
Well, I would say unfortunately, but I guess I'd say fortunately, at the age of 32, I made the probably most difficult life decision I've made thus far, which was to get divorced from my now ex-husband. So my kids were 4 years old and 8 months old at the time, and I have parents who have been married for more than 50 years. So when I say tough life decision, it was really tough. So having been divorced myself, and then being a therapist for 17 years, 6 of which were solely in private practice, I realized that I just absolutely loved working with divorced women and moms because I had been there and I got them, and I got them like many people didn't get them.
Yep. Yeah. And you saying, you have parents who have been married more than 50 years, and I can only imagine all the stories, those inner narratives came up for you going through this process, contemplating getting a divorce, because I've got parents who've been married 50 years. So I'm curious, would you mind sharing just a little bit, what are some of those common fears or worries women even struggle with if they're thinking about divorce or have been divorced? What are some of those things that you hear often from them or your own experience?
Well, I mean, the shame and guilt are huge, right? My parents were able to make it 50 years. I haven't even made it 7. How is that possible? What's wrong with me? The most common things I hear from women are, is my divorce going to screw my kids up forever?
Yeah.
If my kids come from a broken home, does that mean that they're going to end up going through divorce when they're adults and putting their kids through a broken home? I also hear a lot of women with financial fears. I know that was a huge one for me back when I got divorced. Then there's the fears about, geez, I have to co-parent with this person after divorce. So help me God. And, everybody's custody arrangements are, unique to their situation. But I hear a lot of women say, I don't want to give up half my time with my kids. Half their life, they're going to be with the other parent. Or
Yeah.
I don't want to have them every other Christmas or every other Thanksgiving. I want them every Christmas and every Thanksgiving. So those are probably the biggest things I hear from the women I work with.
What are some of the things that you maybe say or do to help them not get stuck, I guess, in that place, that fear place? Because those fears are real. I mean, they're legit fears or legit concerns. And yet we know they're not the forever truths either.
For sure. So I'm going to get a little woo woo on you
Hmm.
for a minute, and I don't. My gut just says that like the universe has another plan for you.
Yeah.
So this doesn't work out. There's a reason it didn't work out,
Hmm.
and so kind of trusting in that and looking for the lessons. We're all put on this earth to learn lessons that help us grow and be better people. So sometimes the biggest lessons come from the most painful life experiences. And I can vouch for that for sure.
And I'm going to imagine, Lucinda, that part of it is when a woman is beginning this process of divorce or going through it, that she's not going to see the lessons like immediately. What you and I have done with our clients in different ways is like, you have to kind of step into that pain versus avoid it, step into the things that have brought you to where you are and get curious about it. Because it's once you have moved through it, you can really reflect back, right? Of what that is and maybe glean what those lessons are.
Totally. The place where I tend to start, coaching women is really where they are at that place where they're stuck. They're so
Yeah.
stuck. They're so sick of living in the past. They're sick of replaying maybe what could have been done differently.
Hmm.
They're sick of feeling angry and sad and resentful and, you know, the shame, the guilt, all of it.
Hmm.
And so when I start working with women, I developed the move on method.
Ooh,
And move on is an acronym that I would love to share with you.
yes, please do.
So the M is for manage the muck and master your mindset.
Ooh, I love that.
So all those like yuck feelings that just kind of swirl around all the time, we kind of squelch those feelings and like master your mindset. So you really feel like you have some control over what's happening in your mind and in your life.
Hmm.
The O stands for optimizing your strengths and getting to know and love yourself again. It's so easy to get lost, going through divorce and, so many women put their kids first, rightfully
Hmm.
so, but
Hmm.
you should also put yourself first. So
Right.
really getting to know and love yourself again. The V is for visualize and get clarity around what you want for your life moving forward as a single woman and mom. It's so
Mm.
easy to focus on all the negative stuff that's happening, but sometimes when we shift our focus to what we do want, it kind of is like a catalyst to kind of get us unstuck.
Yeah.
The E stands for embracing the possibilities. And then the O is, overcoming fears and self limiting beliefs so that you can start designing your new life post divorce.
Love it.
And then the N stands for like, new beginning, new you. Let's figure out how to nourish your soul and navigate your new beginnings.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I love this whole thing. I mean, it's what I'm hearing you say when you're coaching women is one, they get to own where they are, but knowing that again, this is the whole thing. You're moving through the stuckness. You're moving through those old things that happened, the old story, because our future chapters, they haven't been written yet.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's a whole different kind of hope, a whole different, like you're saying, vision that you get to create. And while children are your priority, they are not the only thing that needs to be prioritized, like you said, which I love.
Yep. And, we also work on the parenting stuff, how to create
Yeah.
structure and routine for your kids. We talk about, all the co-parenting stuff, but each woman has their own unique situation. So it's
Hmm.
really tailored to whatever their needs are.
I love that. And I know I've seen some of your Facebook posts that you've done and really just supporting the women who are going through divorce or have been divorced, that it's, yeah, that structure their kids need and giving them some guidelines of like, hey, when we're doing coaching, we're going to work on this stuff. So it doesn't feel like you're just kind of scrambling or just kind of pulling stuff out of the air. There's truly some structure that can be provided and discussed within this setting.
Absolutely.
I love it. What are some things that helped you really move through your divorce? And I'm guessing part of what has helped you is part of where this program is all, not only from the training as a licensed psychotherapist, but your own experience and what you've gleaned from it. Would you mind sharing some of those things that helped you?
Of course. So I would probably say that there are maybe 3 top things that helped me move forward from my divorce. The first one is mindset, right? Our mindset can make us or break us.
Yep.
And it's so easy to get broken by your mindset. So kind of shifting the thoughts from, woe is me, which is totally normal.
Yep.
Or, for me, it was, it's not fair. Like, why me? All of that stuff. To, like I mentioned earlier, looking for the lesson, like why is this happening? So kind of looking for like the deeper spiritual lesson there.
Yeah.
And once I kind of wrapped my head around that and kind of told myself, you know what, like I'm going to be okay. My kids are going to be okay. That's kind of where I started. Another thing that helped me on my journey, and again, some people roll their eyes when I say this, but gratitude journaling.
Yes. Life-changing.
Absolutely. So I always joke with people and say that as an adolescent, I was a dark journaler. So I wrote about all the reasons why my life sucked and would never get better. And I got to tell you, while there is some therapeutic component to kind of getting all of that out, those are not fun journals to reflect back on. But when I started gratitude journaling, it really was like transformative for me.
Yeah.
So focusing on even the small things of each day really helped me realize like how beautiful my life was. Did it turn out exactly as I thought it would? No. But is it still amazing? Absolutely. And I actually practice daily gratitude with my kids. They'd probably roll their eyes too, but every day it's, tell me one way you helped somebody and one thing you're thankful for today. And we've been doing it since my son was, I think he was 4 years old when we started, and he's now 13.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yep. And they ask me too. So I need to come to the table prepared to share how I helped somebody and what I'm thankful for today. And then the third thing is kind of getting clear about what I wanted for my life. It's so easy to focus on all the things that we don't want, right? And then we get all wrapped up in that. But really, when we do that, we're like feeding the energy in all the wrong places. So I kind of flipped my focus. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I was going to say, and I imagine though, too, when we're looking at all the things we don't want, there's also this component, I would think, as a mom, like I got to really focus on what just my kids want, and again, not putting yourself as a higher priority so that you gain clarity on you. That's like, what do I want? And then the rest starts to fall into place.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, kids are so important and they are a priority, but you are an equal priority.
Yeah.
Because you're only, as good of a mom as you are, the care that you give yourself. So getting clear about, what I did want for my life, for me and for my kids. I don't know, it kind of helped me have something to work towards.
Yeah.
Instead of, sucking my energy dry with all of the things that weren't working in my life or that felt unfair.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, the practicing the gratitude journal, and I love that you included your children into it, because we know from the neuroscience world, right, that actually does rewire the brain. I mean, there's the whole positive psychology field, and it's not about rainbows and unicorns, which sometimes people are like, that's all it is. It's like, no, it's not. It's literally reshaping where you place your focus and reshaping part of your brain to focus on. There's bad stuff all the time that happens. There's suffering everywhere. And we may not understand the why often, and that's okay, but we get to choose where we place our focus.
Yep. And, it is a lot easier said than done. But like you're saying, with practice, it really does start to become a little bit more automatic. And trust me, there are some days where I have to work way harder than other days. Some days, my days just feel like crap.
Yep.
But that's when it's like, you know what? I got my Starbucks coffee today. It's a good day.
Yeah. And it really is. It doesn't have to be like these elaborate things. It's like the small stuff. Like you're saying, like, I have my Starbucks coffee, or I stepped outside and I felt the sun on my face after it'd been raining for like a week or something.
Exactly.
It's little things really can make a big difference, but it enriches our life. Because when we have these gratitude moments and teaching ourselves and practicing being grateful, like you said, it really does, you see more of what is working in your life versus what is not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and so often, women say to me, well, I've literally got nothing. Like everything sucks. And I really challenge them. And like, yes, sometimes it does feel like everything sucks, but there's got to be something. Mm-hmm. Did you have a good night's sleep? Did you have a nice warm shower this morning? For me, it's if I have time to stop and get myself a Starbucks coffee on the way to the office, a sunny day, walking on the grass barefoot. I mean, it literally could be anything. Did you indulge in a sundae and you just enjoyed every bite of it? It could literally be anything. It does not have to be, I just paid off every lick of debt I've ever accrued. I mean, that's great, but.
Did you get a hug from your kids today?
Exactly.
Did you say I love you to them today? Did they say I love you back? There's so many things that when we really look for them, we can find them for sure.
Exactly. So that is one thing that really helped move me forward through my divorce, for sure.
And, I want to go back to something you said earlier on in our conversation, which I've heard from folks as well. And that's why I think this conversation is so important, that there's kind of a mixed bag of saying, well, if you get divorced, then it forever impacts your kids. Yes, they will be forever changed, right? Their world changed. You've changed. Their other parent changed. Change happens. Change is constant, right? But that fear of, oh my gosh, they're going to automatically become divorced folks too. Remember, that future part isn't written. And all the things that you're working with women on in the coaching part of it is going deeper of like, what brought you together? What are you learning about yourself? And it's really unraveling so much of these old stories that it's like, there's no, what do I want to say, like guarantee absolutely your children are going to end up divorced too. Because when we're really confident in ourselves, we don't actually keep picking the same and repeating history.
It's true. And kids are so resilient. They really are. And it's, if you're okay through the divorce, and I'm not saying it's easy, it's painful, right, it's hard, it's sad, all of that stuff. But, when you have love, when you have structure, when you have routine, when you have as cordial of a co-parenting relationship as you can have with your ex, those are all things that make a huge difference. I mean, I carried around so much guilt for years about, raising my kids in a single parent home. But when I go back and look at, pictures from years ago, or like those little video clips I would take when they were younger, they look so happy. And I'm like, you know what? Like, my kids are okay. Yeah. They're both great kids. They do well at school. They're loving and affectionate. That is definitely, like, your kids will be okay. You and your kids will be okay.
Yep. And it really is so much of what you're saying too is kids really look to their parents to know they're okay. they're safe,
Mm-hmm.
that they're loved. It's not about all the other stuff. And I know sometimes it can get into like competing parents of who's got to provide the coolest thing. It's like, it's not about that.
Yes.
Let that be your guilt and work through your own guilt,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm curious on that topic, we were talking about where, this is tough and you're going to have moments where you're feeling the grief because again, anytime there's a change in a relationship, it's as if it's a death. And so grief comes up, but you've, hit upon guilt comes up. Shame is a big thing. And again, ladies, if you're not sure the difference between guilt and shame, guilt is, oh, I made this decision, didn't like it, or wasn't maybe a poor choice. Shame is more like you are a bad person. It's like it's all of you. It's the core of you. And so that's the distinction. And I'm curious, Lucinda, what are some ways you help women reframe, especially shame after a divorce? What are ways that you help them in that?
I find that that's a really, women who don't like themselves or don't love themselves is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So often there was parts of them stifled during the marriage that maybe they didn't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of work around that shame piece of, you made the decision that was best for you
Yep.
and subsequently your kids. You
Yep.
will be okay. You are not a bad person.
Yep.
And I'm currently developing a group coaching course, which I'm hoping to have launched, by this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the modules is really about getting to know and love yourself again.
Yeah.
So I've got some cool activities in that module that really help women move past that shame piece and into truly loving and appreciating themselves.
Beautiful. Because again, when we do actually like ourselves, love ourselves, no, this is not coming from this egoic, look at me, I'm the best thing out there. It's more just like, I like me.
Exactly.
Like I'm comfortable and confident in me. And then again, you come across your relationships differently. You draw in different levels of people when you like yourself too. And again, your kids watch you. And so being that role model of saying it's okay to like yourself, it's okay to be confident in yourself, not cocky, but confident.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to take it one step further, being really clear about, the type of person you're looking for in the future.
Yes.
So,
yes.
It's so easy to be like, well, I don't want to end up with someone who does this, or has this quality, this quality, and this quality. Okay, well, shift your focus. Like, what kind of person are you looking for?
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've worked with women for years, and so many times, like my female clients who are, in the dating game, trying to find a partner, I ask them, okay, do you know who the kind of person you're looking for? And they look at me kind of puzzled. And I mean, that's really the first step is like, let's like clearly define, who are you looking for? What qualities do they have?
Isn't it fascinating? It's as if somehow when we go from adolescence, like, oh, whatever, so-and-so likes me, this is great. You get into a committed relationship and it's like, if you're not consciously looking at the characteristics that you're like wanting in any relationship, you do it on an unconscious level.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I love that. Yeah.
Yep.
You're helping them kind of raise that up just a wee bit because it's important.
It is. It's all about clarity because then, like you mentioned, like when you're really clear about what you want, you tend to kind of draw that towards you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Oh, so good. All right. I've got another question for you then. What is something that you wish you would have known after you got divorced, being that single mom that you know now? Is there anything that, like, as you reflect back, you're like, man, oh man, if I would have had that little bit of information or that kind of support, again, stuff that you're giving now to your clients, but like for you, if that was missing, what was that?
So what immediately pops into my head is like, me and my kids will be okay.
Yeah.
So after it first happened, there was a lot of, oh my God, like, what did I just do? How am I going to do this? What's going to happen to my kids? Am I ever going to find anyone again? Did I just sign myself up for a lifetime of loneliness? All of that stuff kind of comes flooding in. And
Yeah.
so I would say no matter where you are in your mindset post-divorce, keeping in mind that you and your kids will be okay no matter what. We always say like, oh, just take it a day at a time. No, sometimes it's 15 minutes at a time,
Yeah.
and so knowing that you and your kids will be okay and knowing that, you still have a big portion of your life to create something totally kick-ass.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm in a place now where I am so much happier. I feel so much safer and more content than I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of having that belief that you can also have that and life might actually turn out even better.
Right. And just to be clear, you got remarried, correct?
I did. So after single
Yeah.
momming it for 4 years, like I said, my son was 4, my daughter was 8 months old when I first got separated. And doing that for 4 years, I did find somebody new, and he's absolutely amazing. I said I was never going to get married again, but he proved me wrong. So now we have our happy little blended family.
It's that the thought. I'm giggling like never say never, right?
It's true. It is really true. I mean, I did keep my last name. I kind of was firm about that, but
Yeah.
but other than that, it's truly been amazing. It's been a journey for sure, but it's amazing.
Yeah. But I think again that the big takeaway, what I'm hearing you say again and again, is the ladies who are listening who have gotten divorced, going through a divorce, it's like, you will be okay. Your kiddos will be okay. And it's really trusting your process. And again, that's where your support comes in as a coach. Like, I can help you along that way and give you some tools or guidelines, the structure to help you really dive deeper and come back to self and looking at, what are you bringing to the table? What do you believe about yourself? What are you wanting in another relationship if you want to move forward in another relationship? It's all those things to really work through and not struggle on your own.
It is. And I try and keep a lot of the strategies like super simple because, lots of times when women come to me, they're feeling so overwhelmed and they can't deal with just like one more thing.
Yeah.
So if I said, okay, here's your packet of 52 activities that you're going to do in between, our 2 sessions, they're going to be like, what? I can't do that. But so I try and keep things like super simple and super doable. And a lot of it has to do with just like simple shifts in your mindset.
Yeah. Good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, before we share how they can find you, get a hold of you and all that good stuff, I'm curious, what are some of your self-care practices that you do to take care of you, manage your energy so you don't come from a depleted place?
Great question. So I will go back to my daily gratitude journaling. And that is something that is very important to me. And so even if I'm not physically writing it down in a journal, which I've got myself many journals, I am always reflecting on it. Even when I find myself feeling super stressed, I kind of use that to kind of come back to home base of like, okay, but this is going well and this is going well. And I'm thankful for this and I'm grateful for that. So my daily gratitude practice is huge. Sometimes I do it in the morning. Most times I do it in the evening. And most times it's at the dinner table with the kids, getting everybody involved. In the morning, I'm a raging type A personality. I'm not going to lie. So if somebody says like, sit down and meditate for 30 minutes, I would be like, there's no way. But I do think it is super important to take a pause. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute meditation. Right. For 3 to 5 minutes in the morning, I close my eyes, I set my intention for the day, I do some breathing exercises, and that just kind of sets my day off on the right track. So the gratitude journaling, the 5-minute meditation and setting my intention for the day, are 2 big things. And then the last thing I would say is moving my body.
Yes.
So I got this really awesome rowing machine back in the
Ooh.
fall. It's amazing. So I've been enjoying doing that. My neighbor and I will go for power walks a few times per week,
Hmm.
and just turning the music on and dancing and being silly with the kids.
Yep.
Any type of movement of my body always makes me feel good.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Those are some good things. And I'm laughing when you're like, yeah, I'm so not doing those 30-minute meditations. And yes, I have previous episodes where we talk about those longer meditations, but there's definitely some guests where we talk about the shorter ones.
Yeah, I want to be that person so badly.
But again, there's so many ways to become, it's not only mindful, but to go deep. And it doesn't mean you have to sit still to shift energy and to tap into the collective. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
ways that can make that happen. So I love it. All right, ladies. Well, to find Lucinda, again, you know I have everything in my show notes if you are an ongoing listener of the show, but you can find her website at lucindatesto.com. And again, I'll have it all in the show notes to link to. She also has a social media group, Facebook group. It's called the Divorced Mom Sisterhood. And again, it's a private group, but I'll have the link for you there. And then she has this beautiful free resource. It's called 6 Ways to Start Moving the F on after divorce. And again, I will have that link in the show notes as well. So, Lucinda, I just want to say thank you so much for being on today, sharing your own wisdom and also how you work with your current clients and letting them know that they will truly be okay and so will their kids.
Yes, thank you for having me, Nicole. This was great.
Thank you for listening. And remember, if you have a loud inner critic, one that tells you you're not enough or you can't do something, head over to NicoleBurgessCoaching.com and download your Turn Your Inner Critic into Your Inner Guide in 4 steps.